You are watching Soleful Discussions.
All right, so hi, how you doing today?
Hello.
All right. How did we just meet right now?
At the parking lot here in Target.
Absolutely, most random way, right?
Yes.
What did I approach you about? What are we doing today?
About an interview about feet, and my opinion towards feet and reflexology.
Yep, and one more.
And
Mental health.
mental health, yes.
Okay, so let me ask you this: when you hear the subject feet, when you hear that word, what goes through your mind? What do you think about?
Pedicures.
Pedicures. Okay, cool.
And fungus and stuff like that.
Yeah. Taking care of that, making sure that you like nice and good, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're gonna ask you some questions today. It'll be about your thoughts about how you feel about feet. You can feel free to answer however you like. Okay.
Yes.
What about mental health? When you hear that, what do you think about?
People with depression, anxiety, stuff like that. Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about like social media, the impacts it can have on like depression and anxiety. So you can like let me know once I start asking questions how you feel about that, all right?
Okay.
And then lastly, have you ever heard of reflexology before?
It's like a therapy for the feet or something like that.
Yeah, you're really close. So it's for your hands and your feet. So it's like basically we'll get into that. I don't want to give all the information out now, but yeah, we'll get into that. So I'm gonna just relay some information to you, and then you can feel free to tell me like, do you like that? Do you think it's good or not? Okay. Let's start with the first question. What are your thoughts about how the world's starting to become more aware of mental health and like what we're doing about it? How do you feel about that?
I think it's a good thing because I feel like with social media, more kids are starting to bring it out that they see others aware that other people are in the same position as they are.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's good because then they know that there's other people like them and they can seek for help.
Exactly. And I think like what I'm hearing a lot is like 10 to 15 years ago that wasn't something that was like discussed that often. So now we're getting
especially because we didn't have phones, so we
Yeah.
didn't know. We thought we were like it's just us,
Yeah,
and our family
yourself.
doesn't know. Our family doesn't know how to help us, and we don't know who to approach.
Yeah, and it's like generational. It's like generational ignorance, like not really ignorance, but just a lack of knowledge. Because like like if your parents don't tend to like know about that, your grandparents
then they will
9
think
times out of
that
10 you're not gonna know. Yeah,
they're gonna think that it's just like, oh, you're lazy,
it's something
you're tired.
normal. Yeah, exactly. In terms of social media, right? First of all, what are your thoughts about it, and then how do you use it yourself?
Social media. Well, I just use regular just to look at the news feed and stuff like that. Just to see what my friends are doing.
Okay. Cool. So you don't use it for like business reasons or anything like that. Just
not
more
right
for
now,
that.
yeah.
Okay, that's dope. In terms of social media, right? Let's say somebody came to you and said, change something about it to make it better or anything like that. Is there anything you would change, or would you kind of just like be like, no, it's fine as it is?
My social media or social media in
general?
general?
No, just in general. Yeah.
I think, well, for me, I feel like it's fine. There's a lot of opinions out there. Everyone's entitled to their opinions. Maybe just the hate.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people just speak out their ass before they actually,
That's a good point, man. I like how you were candid.
Sometimes, people post pictures, they feel confident. Once in their lifetime, they post it. People try to hate them towards it.
Yeah, man.
I guess that would be my only thing. Like, if you don't have anything good to say, just don't say it.
I say that so even on my YouTube channel, right? A lot of times I get people who are like, you should do it this way, you should do it that way, and this is what this is. And I'm like, you can just go start your own YouTube channel, just do it that way. You don't have to tell me. Like I kind of have my own niche. I know what I'm doing, so it's always interesting. In terms of like things that bring you anxiety, right? And you don't have to go too in depth, just maybe more surface level. Is there anything that brings you anxiety? And if so, like what do you do to counteract those feelings when you feel that way?
I think environments where I don't know, like a lot of people. Like if I go to a party and I don't know anybody there, and then my friends leave me, I get to get a little bit of anxiety. So
who am I going to talk to?
Yes, I just feel like I feel like everyone's judging me.
Oh yeah.
That's what I always feel like. I feel like people are judging me. They're looking at the way I'm dressed, so I really stress about what's the theme, because I'm like, I always want to go prepared. So I feel like that's what gives me a lot of anxiety and just
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna ask you some questions about this now, and we'll see like how you feel about it. Okay, I'll be intrigued to see how you feel. What are your thoughts about your feet? How do you feel about your feet?
I think they're okay.
Okay.
Yes, I used to play soccer, so they're a little fucked up, but.
Oh, okay. So you were a soccer player. How long did you play for?
since I was 6 to like 18.
Oh, damn. Okay, so you had some knowledge on those things. Okay. Let me ask you this: have you ever received compliments about your feet before? Anybody ever told you?
No.
Not once.
No.
Okay. So you've never experienced the positive side of somebody like saying, "Hey, you have nice feet." Mm-hmm. If you did get a compliment about that, how would it make you feel?
I think I would take it. I'll be okay with that. I wouldn't be offended by it or weird or.
Okay, yeah. That's dope. That's dope. Not a lot of women feel like you do. Like I found in these interviews, I think I'm like at 147 come Friday, and like a lot of times I'll get, I think that's kind of weird and things like that, and I'm like, well, it's a compliment. Like, what's different? Like, no. Yeah, because to me, like I feel like this, right? If I compliment you on your hair, or your eyes, or anything like that, right? What's the difference? So I'm still pointing out something, right? So.
As long as it's like, like, oh, like, can I touch your feet? Then I'll be like, oh, wait. No.
Yeah. I think when you start to get to physical. Like more physical, or you like say anything beyond like, hey, you just have nice feet. To me, like I think it gets like a little weird. In terms of compliments you do receive, right? What are some things you do like to be complimented about? Like if somebody's gonna give you a compliment, you're like, to me, that's the best compliment.
Probably my hair and my eyes.
So I'm guessing
and my smile probably.
Yeah, you probably pay more attention to that and everything like that. So getting a compliment about that is something that's like validated. Yes. Right? Absolutely. Let me ask you this. What's something that you like that other people might find to be weird? Like if like it could be something that maybe you eat, type of food you eat, or maybe a hobby you have. You have anything like that? Yeah, because for me it's like, so I like anime. I watch anime, but as an adult, a lot of people may look at that and be like, you watch anime, like it's kind of weird. And it's like, for me, it's like, well, I enjoy it, so why not, right? Yes. But you don't have anything like that? Like, some people like, I've heard like, people who eat Takis and they suck all the chili off, but they don't eat the chip. Or people who like, I don't know, put like, mustard on their pizza or something like that. Nothing like that.
No, nothing like that.
Interesting. Okay.
No, I'm trying to think, but I don't think so.
So you tend to stay to like more normal trends and things like that. Yeah, or at least things that society may consider to be normal. Okay, that makes sense. In terms of like if you're dating somebody or you're gonna start dating somebody, and what is something you would consider to be a potential deal breaker in a potential partner?
Controlling, being toxic.
Okay, I've been hearing that quite often, man. Is there a lot of guys or women out there who do that? Man, that's crazy. Okay, all right. That's interesting. I've been hearing that quite a bit, like being controlling. And I think sometimes some people also come from families where like maybe the family was controlling. So like it's like you don't want that in a relationship, right?
But I think it is also that like small things like they get manipulated by other people influence. Like they would say like, oh, she was
like you don't answer your phone and they're like, oh, she's out there.
Yeah, like, they'll tell them things like, oh, like, she's out there with other guys probably, and they automatically like, oh, yeah, they're other guys. So they start influence like, hey, like, you barely met me. Why are you gonna start?
That's so true. That's so true. Okay. How often do you get pedicures?
Probably like every 2 to 3 weeks. Depends. Just regular sometimes.
Regular, okay. Do you tend to find that like regular lasts? Have you ever had gel before?
No, I haven't had gel before.
Really? Okay. I hear that gel lasts longer. That's why I always ask.
Well, actually, for me, they usually last.
Okay, so they usually last. Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. How often do you wear, like, well, first of all, because you mentioned earlier about fungus, and so that's what you think about with your feet. Yes. Have you ever heard of a medical pedicure?
Yes, my grandma would get one.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, she got one in Mexico.
Yeah,
she
that's
had
what I've been
fungus.
hearing. Okay.
Yes. So
what was her experience like?
She likes it. She really, when we go to Mexico, that's the only place she loves getting her like toes done, her nails done, because they really treat that area.
They do everything, right? Yeah. And it's like medical grade equipment to use to do it. Like that's really dope. When I first found out about it, as a matter of fact, I was near the border. I was picking up my girlfriend and her mom from Mexico, and I interviewed a lady there, and she started telling me about it. And I was like, this is the first time I ever heard of it. And she was like, yeah, they. Make sure you don't have the fungus, the dead skin. Like they do all the work there, like medical grade. They
cut up all the badd stuff to try to regrow the nail.
That's dope. And I hear from like a couple people who've like been on my channel, they've even tried it and they're like positive experiences from it. So it's always dope to hear like somebody else like had an experience. Yeah. Absolutely. How often do you wear toe shoes, sandals, flip flops, things like that?
Only usually when it's like when the weather's hot.
Okay.
If not, I usually always wear shoes because of work.
Okay.
So
probably
just
work.
Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, okay. So now, do you find that to be like more like comfortable for you? Is that something that, or is it like based on like what you're wearing?
It's
or?
based off what I'm wearing.
Okay.
Well, I guess it is maybe.
Okay. So it might be for comfort
yes.
too. Okay, cool. How often you go barefoot, no shoes?
Probably just in my room.
Just in your room?
Yes.
Okay. So have you ever heard of earthing and grounding before?
No.
Okay, so that's like when you go barefoot in like grass, dirt, or sand. It's like basically connecting with the earth. It's something that's supposed to like make you feel like the most at one with earth. And sometimes people do it for like meditation reasons. So like if you're experiencing stress or something like that, or anxiety, so just like kind of putting your feet like in the grass and just kind of relaxing, like allows you to like unclog a lot of that mental space. Exactly. So is that something that you would try in the future? Just like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and a lady explained it to me like this, right? She said like we're not born into the world with like shoes and socks, and so like being able to go out, exactly. Being able to go out, like some of your fondest moments as a child was like running around, no shoes and socks. Doing that like maybe 10 to 15 minutes a day can give you that same feeling of freedom and just like allow you to feel relaxed. So I always thought that was dope. I was like, that's a really good way to
my mom just let me know about one of my cousins. He had a baby. He's putting no shoes on her.
Oh, that's dope.
Like no socks or no shoes. And I was like, what if her feet are? He's like, no, like they're not supposed to wear shoes.
Yeah,
they're supposed to like their feet touch.
Get used to it.
Just no shoes, grow and everything. And you starting like wrap stuff around them. It's
Yeah, because you allow that to like toughen up and like get to the point to where then once you put them in shoes, they're like more comfortable to be able to walk around. Absolutely. All right, so now can we see what your feet look like? Is that okay? Can you put them up here?
Do I need to take off my shoes?
Yeah, can you?
Not on my shoes because I haven't shaved.
Oh, don't worry. We're not worried about that. We're not judging or anything like that. I promise. Like my channel is all about like the positivity, and I'm doing this because it's like a mental health part. It's like kind of like exercise. We're gonna talk about that. Are you comfortable enough to like go ahead and like just see what happens, or is that okay?
Let me see.
Don't worry. I think you're worried too much. You're fine. You're fine. Okay, yeah, put them flat like that. Okay. All right, and so first of all, leave them there. Okay, so first of all, I can see that you have your bigger toe is bigger, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
You have what's called the Egyptian like toe alignment, right? So if your second toe was bigger, it would be a Grecian toe alignment. All right, so that's what you have, and it looks like your toes. You said they're pretty jacked up. I don't see anything. Where is it that you see that they're messed up at?
Well, they were more messed up before, so they're
you started
recovering.
taking care of them.
I started taking care of them.
Okay, so that's why they've gotten to like a better state now.
Yeah.
You go get pedicures, things like that.
Yeah.
You use lotions and stuff. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. Now can we see the bottoms? Is that okay? Let me get you to actually put them up here so that we can see the bottoms like in your frame. Okay. All right, kind of like, do you like lean them over? Like, yeah,
like
there you go. Yeah. All right, so now, how are you feeling? We're going through this. We're like asking questions. We're looking at your feet now. What are your thoughts?
That everyone's probably looking at me like she's crazy.
Well, what's the worst that's gonna happen from now? Like most of these people, you're never probably gonna see them again or anything like that. So like, why be worried about that, right? All right. So just put your feet back down for a minute. We're gonna go through like a couple more exercises. Just leave your feet out. Okay. So first of all, you said you're worried about like what other people are like possibly like seeing and what they're saying, right?
Yeah.
So let me give you a little bit of the mental health of like why I got started in this. Okay, so during quarantine, I was watching another guy's channel on YouTube, and he was talking about exposure therapy. Are you like familiar with that?
No.
So exposure therapy is for people who tend to like overthink situations, right? So like they're presented with a situation and they're like, oh, this could happen, that could happen. And in reality, like a lot of those things they're thinking about aren't actually gonna happen. It's just stuff that the mind creates like to like prevent you from like experiencing life, right? So what therapists prescribe for people like that is to like go out, do the things that make you feel uncomfortable. So like, let's say you were afraid of heights. Like eventually you have to get over that because like, what if you have an opportunity to have a job that requires you to like
in the sky, right?
Yeah, exactly. So like, are you just gonna be like, well, I'm gonna turn that down, and like every time a job comes up like that, I'm gonna turn it down, right? So basically, going out there and putting yourself in that situation, when you're in those situations, you can learn to cope with it. Like learn to like deal with the emotions. Like, okay, I'm feeling uncomfortable right now. But like, what's really happening? Is anything threatening my life? Is anything threatening my safety? Because like, that's the real stuff you need to ask yourself. And if not, what are you worried about? Like, go ahead and experience life and just see what happens. Just like kind of go through with it. So when I heard that, I was like, man, that's really dope. In the past, like I wasn't somebody who was like, just go with the flow. I was more like, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen in this situation, so I'm not gonna do it, right? And I'm like, I want to learn how to like become more like that. So I was like, let me start a channel want to attach like that mental health term exposure therapy to like the subject of feet, because a lot of people feel uncomfortable with it. A lot of people are like weirded out by it. They think that it's like a taboo or something like that, right? So I would go out and interview women and like see what your thoughts are. Like to see like, can you be comfortable? Like it's like, you know, at what point do you say like, okay, I'm feeling uncomfortable, and then can you go past that? Can you like step out of your comfort zone and just like see what happens, right? And so like the whole point is like to get different reactions from different women. So sometimes I get women who are just like completely open. They're like, I'm not worried about nothing. Sometimes I get women who are like in between. They're like, I don't know. And sometimes I get women who are like, absolutely not, right? But the whole point is to show these reactions because like, let's say somebody's interested in feet, right? They might like it. They might have a hard time discussing that with somebody because they might feel like I'm gonna get judged. Somebody's gonna look at me like negatively. So the whole point of my channel is to try to normalize the conversation through my interactions with women, to see like if we can make it more positive and just make it a more normalized conversation. What are your thoughts about that? Like kind of like what I'm doing and like the channel. What do you think?
I think feet are a sensitive topic for different people.
For a lot of people, yeah.
Yes. So I think if it's you reach your target audience, then it's good, you know.
Okay.
I don't find it weird. I don't find feet weird.
Yeah.
Because I'm able, like, my mom, she would be like, ew, like I could do my grandparents' pedicures if they need me to. They can't go to the store. Like I wouldn't be weirded out because they have older toes and stuff, so it might be a little bit more. I'm not weirded out by feet, so I think that if I were to find your channel, I would watch it. I'd be like, okay, you know.
It would be interesting to you.
It would be interesting to me. I'd be like, oh, let's see what other people think, you know. Because there's a lot of people that are like, ew, like, I'm not going to touch people's feet. And other people are like, you know, like, who cares, you know, feet is feet. It's another. And
it's like, what's the difference? Like, this is what I always hear, right? People always say, like, oh, feet are dirty. And I'm like, okay, but your hands are dirty, too. Like, you go around, you touch things. You do like we found that out during the pandemic, right? Like, you going around touching all this stuff, people don't wash their hands, things like that. So it's like, what's the difference? Like, we should technically look at that as something that's bad too, but like people don't. So I
guess because maybe they already think that your feet is like stinky, maybe.
Yeah, but it's like I feel like if you keep them clean, if you like do different things to them, I feel like you don't find that.
No,
I feel like if you're somebody who doesn't do that, then of course, like you're gonna be on that side. So like I always think it's definitely interesting. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about reflexology now. All right, so and first of all, like how you feeling? Like is it you feeling better now? Okay, so you kind of calm down a little bit, right?
Yes,
okay. So let's talk about reflexology. So reflexology is about the different pressure points you actually have in your hands and your feet, right? Those pressure points actually connect to different parts of your body. So, for example, let's say through massage, through acupuncture, through acupressure, you can actually alleviate stress and tension to various parts of your body, like just by applying pressure and massaging. In terms of like if you might be somebody who does with migraines, there's a portion of your foot and your hands you can massage that will alleviate that tension. There's also a piercing you can get. I ended up finding out about this like in your ear that'll alleviate that as well. What are your thoughts about that? Kind of like reflexology and what it can do for you, how all these parts are connected and things like that.
It's interesting. I don't really know much about it, and it's funny because I'm like in the medical field.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes,
okay.
I'm going towards kinesiology, so it's about.
See, that's what I'm majoring in as well. So that's why it's interesting. Finding out about reflexology was interesting for me because it's like, you know, muscle groups and all these different things, and then it's like you have pressure points that actually connect. Like, and it makes sense though because like your feet are like the foundation of you, right? Like it's what you stand up on and all that stuff. So to have things that like if something's wrong here, it can like affect something else.
Yes,
that makes sense.
Before. I had got like my knee bone was like displaced, and I went to like the orthopedic in Mexico, and he told me, he's like, you know, like if I do this to your feet, it's gonna fix align your spine. And I was like, really? He's like, yes.
Just
and he was
simple,
like pulling my feet. He's like, it all starts from the bottom. It's all connected. And that's when I learned, like, okay, like, you know. So sometimes when I do, like, he taught me how to do some certain exercises alleviate my spine, and it requires the whole body. It's not just your back.
That's really dope. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So in terms of that, when we get to reflexology, we usually talk about sensitivity. All right. How ticklish do you tend to be?
Really ticklish.
You get pedicures? Are you really ticklish?
Yes. Okay.
I have a trick for you. Do you mind if we test it to see so I can give you that trick?
You're gonna tickle my feet?
Yeah. And then we're gonna give you the trick, like in it. Like, is that okay?
I really don't like being tickled.
It's okay, but I'm gonna give you the trick. I'm gonna show you like how to like overcome it, especially when you get pedicures.
Yes.
If you want to find a way to like manage like when you go through it, I have a trick for you. I'm not joshing you either. I'm not just playing with you. Like, this is for real. Like, you go check some other videos. I do the same thing, like, to make sure, like, women know about that. Would you mind? Is that okay?
Okay, it's okay.
Right, let me get you to put your feet back up here. All right. Now I'm gonna start with the right foot first, and I'm gonna do it from like bottom to top, and then I'm gonna go to the left foot. And you tell me where it's most sensitive at and which foot is most sensitive. Okay. All right. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right. Where do you feel it? Right, so it's like right towards the bottom. Okay. Try to hold for 5 seconds if you can. Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right. So here, and the arch too, right? Yes. So it's pretty much all over. Okay. Yes. Let's try the left. Tell me if this one is worse. Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right. This one's worse.
I think it's about the same.
It's about the same. Yeah. Okay. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to wiggle your toes while I'm doing it. Tell me if it's more or less. Wiggle here. Is that less?
I just less.
Do you know why?
No.
So like, basically your mind is thinking about actively doing something else, right? So it's almost like a distraction, right? At the same time, your foot being in motion allows your muscles to move, so you can't pick up on the sensation. So when you get your pedicures, like if you're really ticklish when they do that scrubbing part, just give your toes a little wiggle and it'll help you out. Let's try the left. This was like kind of ticklish too. Wiggle here. Let's see if you feel it less. Is it less?
Yes.
So there you go. There's a trick. Now leave your feet there. We're gonna do a couple exercises. This is a test, like flexibility, dexterity in your feet. Okay. Bend your toes, make a fist. Tell me if you feel pain or discomfort. Is that easy to do? Hard to do?
Easy.
Easy, no pain, nothing. Relax. Spread your toes. Tell me if you feel pain or discomfort. Easy to do, hard to do.
Easy.
Easy. Relax. Lastly, wiggle your toes for about 10 seconds. Tell me if you feel pain, discomfort, any cramping, anything like that. Pretty easy? Okay, cool. So now here's a trick for you. You're good now. All right, here's a trick for you. When you wake up in the morning, if you have a golf ball or tennis ball, take that, take your foot, roll it across it in the mornings to loosen up the muscles and all that stuff, like in the bottom of your feet, all those tendons and all that stuff, and help you become like a little bit more flexible. Also, practice some of those movements. Doing this will help create more flexibility for you.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
So let's wrap up the interview now. In terms of my approach, when I came up to you and I asked you to do the interview, was it good? Was it bad? What were your thoughts about my approach?
It was good. I thought you were gonna try to sell me something. So.
What are you selling?
Yes, I was like, I have no money.
Okay, there it is. But it was good though, right?
Yes.
Okay. In terms of the interview, right, from start to finish, did you see how everything was going in the line? Did it make sense? Did you learn anything new from the information?
Yes, maybe to your trick.
Okay, yeah, to not be ticklish. There you go.
Yes, it's very interesting. Some very ticklish of my weak points.
That can definitely help you out, man. Like if you like a lot of the women, so there's a very few, a small amount that doesn't help, and it's mainly it's not because like it doesn't work. It's because they're actively thinking about like just being tickled. They're not focusing on the wiggling. If you focus on wiggling and just doing those movements, you won't feel it at all. Absolutely. Lastly, the last thing I'll ask from a mental health standpoint, a life lesson you learned, wise words that maybe somebody said to you that you can share on my channel that might be helpful.
Wise words?
It could be anything. Maybe words you heard in a song or something. You're like, that's really good.
Make sure to make positive affirmations every morning so that your day goes well.
Okay. That's dope, man. Like, because I feel like a lot of people are starting to get into that, like, you know, self-love, telling your things, positive things, so like that way your day starts off the right way, the trajectory. Like, it doesn't start off at a low point with you being like, oh, I got to go to work and I got to go do this. Like, you're starting off at a high point, like, man, things are going to go well for me. I'm going to, you know, experience something positive.
Yes.
I love that. Yes. Thank you so much. Appreciate you stopping to do this interview with us, and we hope that you have a great one. Okay?